This is Nina Goddess with Kentucky Bankers Association, and welcome to our latest episode of Vendor Viewpoint Podcast, where we bring together Kentucky bankers and the industry's top solution providers to discuss important topics that affect your bank. On today's podcast, Barry Adcock with Bankers Dashboard, Tim Gooden of First Community Bank of the Heartland, and Jason Jones of Morgantown Bank and Trust join KBA's Selena Parrish to discuss how Deluxe's Bankers Dashboard offers community banks a tool to proactively manage their bank's performance every single day in a fast and efficient way. Barry, Tim, and Jason, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to have this discussion with us. Selena, you can take it from here. Enjoy.
Welcome, audience. This is Selena Parrish, KBA Director of Membership Products and Services. KBA endorses Bankers Dashboard, and we're pleased to have Barry Adcock, Sales Executive with Bankers Dashboard, on today's podcast with us, along with two of our KBA members, Tim Gooden, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer with First Community Bank of the Heartland in Clinton, and also Jason Jones, President and CFO at Morgantown Bank and Trust in Morgantown. I can't thank you guys enough for being with us today. And Barry, let's kick off with you. Tell our audience how Bankers Dashboard's assisting community banks.
Sure, Selena. I'll be glad to. In fact, I really want to just tell you how Bankers Dashboard helped me. Before I was a part of the Bankers Dashboard sales team, I was a community bank CFO from period from 2005 until 2016. It was during that time that my bank implemented and used Bankers Dashboard, and it really helped us to navigate that period that we call the Great Recession. And there are really three key ways that it helped me become a better CFO. First of all, it really empowered our performance management culture that the dashboard interfaces with the core each and every day. So it visualized for us the key performance metrics that were most important to our bank's survival. It really helped to keep our team focused on the metrics that mattered most. And during all of that time, it really helped us to improve our net interest margin. In 2009, our margin was at a 2.25% margin, and we were able to improve that up to a 4.16% margin in 2014. So let me say that again. We improved our margin from 2.25% in 2009 to 4.16% 5 years later. That was really the difference in our bank surviving and not making it through that Great Recession. The fact is that our client base of over 300 community banks, they consistently outperform the market 25 to 30 basis points. That's a significant number when we consider the fact that nationally net interest margins are at historic lows. When you look at the national average right now, banks below $1 billion in assets, the average net interest margin is 3.22%. That's really low. So the second way that it helped us was it really created some operating efficiencies for us by automating much of our financial reporting. And it reduced our reliance on Excel spreadsheets that could be very time consuming and error prone. And these time savings allowed me to then focus more of my time and effort on managing the performance of the bank and other key functions. And then finally, the last thing the way that I used the dashboard was for budgeting and forecasting. The projections tool helped me to constantly forecast and reforecast as conditions changed and evolved. It allowed me to analyze various scenarios and predict outcomes and really to plot a course as we, again, navigated through that Great Recession. So to try and summarize all of that, the Banker's Dashboard, it empowers a bank's performance management culture. It creates operating efficiencies by operating manual tasks, and then it also provides a robust forecasting tool. But enough about me and my bank. Enough from me. Tim, Jason, I really want to thank you guys for joining Selena and I on this podcast today. To share your perspectives as Bankers Dashboard clients. Tim, I'm gonna turn to you first. First Community's been a Banker's Dashboard client since 2016. In fact, just last year, you renewed your subscription through 2026. So if you don't mind, can you share with our listeners today where you find the greatest value in Banker's Dashboard?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. Banker's Dashboard has helped our bank to become a more profitable bank. It automates the ability to look at our bank's financials daily at a glance without a lot of effort. It summarizes on a customizable dashboard all the things that we find important and that we want to routinely monitor. As you pointed out earlier, it's a time-saving tool. Once the reports are defined, they can be produced with just a click of a mouse. It allows us to easily provide reports that we want to go to the executive staff, staff management, the branch managers, and so forth. We use it for many of our board reports and our board packets. Banker's Dashboard streamline our budgeting process. It allows us to run various scenarios in different interest rate environments, which becomes important in these days. Revising budgets are straightforward and can be updated within minutes. Cash rebalances, capital and retained earnings updates in minutes once the changes are made. And it's quite an improvement over the old spreadsheet budget that we were using at one time. Efficiency and improved profitability are the greatest values we receive from using Banker's Dashboard.
Thank you for that, Tim. I really appreciate your input there. Jason, you at Morgantown Bank and Trust, you're one of our newest clients. You've only been using the dashboard since January of this year. But if you don't mind, share with the group and with the audience today what first got your attention and what led to you ultimately making the decision to implement Banker's Dashboard.
Sure, Barry. We were looking for something to basically combine and consolidate the things that we had available on our core, things that we calculated on a routine basis, but things that were, it took some diligence and some work to compile those things that we're using on a day-to-day basis to manage and run our bank. With Banker's Dashboard, it allowed us to collaborate all of that information from our core in a centralized location, made time, which is a commodity that we value so greatly. It gave some time back to us by having that one-stop shop that we could open up every morning, take a look and kind of get the vitals of our organization without spending a massive amount of time working through different modules in our core to come up with the same information. So we were looking for that efficiency of time to improve our day-to-day pulse of our organization. And we found that with Banker's Dashboard when we implemented that. It also, we were looking for some budgeting enhancements as well. We were using multiple platforms for that. And also reporting and trying to get this out to our branches in a manner that would be something that our branch managers could use on a day-to-day basis to help them make decisions in how they're dealing with their clientele and how they're interacting with their employees internally. We are new to the program, so we've still learning a lot, but we've been very impressed so far with what it's brought to the table for our bank.
Great information. Again, I want to touch on something you said there. Yeah, you are new to the product, been using it only a few months now, and you touched on this a little bit, but maybe you could expand on it a little bit. How has having access to the Banker's Dashboard impacted your daily routines for not only yourself but for the rest of your team, as well as your visibility into your financial condition and performance?
As I mentioned earlier, one of the very first things I do every morning is I open up the dashboard just to get a quick glance of what's happened the day prior. And that is a much more responsive way to manage our bank than what we were doing. Time is one of those things that rarely can you set in at the beginning of every morning and calculate the things that the dashboard indicators will show you in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes. Where did our assets go? What do our deposits look like today? What is our 1 basis point? What is that worth to the bank on a daily basis? So it's one of those things that allowed me to really start to hone in on what happened the day prior that I need to look at. The other thing that's very valuable to me is the alerts. It is a quick way to see if something changed in a meaningful manner on our balance sheet or income statement. Maybe we had a swing in Fed funds or cash on hand or something that I need to take a look at to see if we need to make any adjustments on a day-to-day basis. So it just became my guidepost and my daily task to start my day with Banker's Dashboard. And it saved me so much time. And it basically helps me to determine what the rest of my day is going to be based off of what I see on those indicators. So that was the low-hanging fruit with Banker's Dashboard for me. It was something that was immediately a value to our bank and to my day. And that was the quickest return on our investment with Banker's Dashboard by far.
Wow. My experience is a number of years ago, very, very similar to that. So I appreciate you sharing. Tim, I want to come back to you. One of the things I think about a lot of times, and as you know, one of the most important aspects of any vendor relationship is client support and service. I tout our service team, our support team, our client support representatives. But if you don't mind, give your perspective on how would you rate and describe the support that you have received from the Dashboard team?
Well, Barry, I'm happy to say we've had very little need for support. It just works. Once the product is in place, it tends to work pretty much flawlessly. Initially, when we went on board back in the day, Devon Brown and her staff assisted us in getting everything mapped and the initial reports set up. I always look forward to getting emails from Lori Allen there in the department, the peer comparison reports she sends out quarterly. And as far as Pam Green, she sends us timely updates for training tips and when the system is going to be unavailable and that sort of thing. We had great results. We asked for an enhancement. We were doing a manual upload of our data at the time from our core, and we asked for an enhancement, and the technician there, Jeffrey Craddock, was instrumental in developing an automatic upload interface to upload from our core automatically. And I would rate the overall service as a 10 out of 10. We are very satisfied with the responses we've received with Banker's Dashboard.
Well, again, we call them the dream team around here. So glad to have that confirmed with you as well. Jason, I kind of want to go back to something that Tim touched on there. As I talk to new banks, and I go back to the days when I was a banker. One of the hesitations that I had, one of the hesitations that many bankers have when it comes to bringing in new solutions, like a Banker's Dashboard, is there's always this perception that the implementation is going to be painful and burdensome. You recently went through this with the dashboard, so if you don't mind, share a little bit about your experience during the implementation.
Well, Barry, I mean, we chose to implement this product in December, which is probably the worst time for a CFO of the bank to want to implement a new financial product. And I decided to go ahead and go forward with that because I really wanted it in place for January 1 so that we could roll it out with our budget. So we actually elected to, I done the implementation from the bank's perspective by myself. The information that they requested was extensive, but it wasn't burdensome. And in fact, I was able to turn around everything they needed in 2 or 3 days back to the team. And we had that implemented and up and running in a very quick fashion. It was probably, and I hesitate to say this, but it's one of the easiest implementations of anything I've ever had. So I was able to handle that by myself. I didn't have to bring on a team and do that. Now that may not be the strategy for every organization. You may want to spread that out a little bit, but it was an emphasis for me to want to get that taken care of and have it ready to go for January 1. So we literally had that thing up and running within about a 3-week time period. We were able to start to see our data in the dashboard, and we're very pleased with the implementation team. They were had continual meetings with us. All the right people were involved on the calls. Banks and peers like Tim's bank had laid the path with our core. We happen to use the same core, so some of the things that he had requested and enhancements were already in place for me. So it made my job a lot easier. as well. So the implementation was as Tim rated your customer service 10 out of 10, the implementation also for me was 10 out of 10. So we were very, very pleased with the implementation, how quickly they were able to get us up and running. And we were running and ready to go for the fiscal year 2022 for us.
Fantastic. I one of the things I often tell clients as I'm talking to them is, it'll be one of the easiest implementations you will ever go through. And they always look at me and say, yeah, right. But glad to have that confirmed as well. So Tim, I know your bank has been growing a little bit since you joined the dashboard. How about sharing a little bit about how the Bankers Dashboard has helped First Community as you have expanded into new markets and new territories?
Sure, Barry. We knew we were going to need something. We had a strategic plan that we were going to grow our bank, and we knew we were going to need something to be able to monitor growth in our branching and so forth. So we started using Bankers Dashboard. When we started using Bankers Dashboard, we only had 5 Kentucky branches, and we were about $168 million bank. And as we expanded our footprint into Tennessee, we added an additional 5 branches, and we currently have plans for a 6th branch within the next 18 months. We are currently at about $370 million in assets, so we have increased our asset size substantially. Bankers Dashboard has allowed us to monitor these new branches individually and on a statewide basis. It's been very helpful as far as breaking out specific reports for income tax purposes and various type of taxes that we pay, franchise taxes in Tennessee and so forth. So it's become a critical type of program that we utilize in our branching process. So certainly it would have been much more difficult without having Bankers Dashboard available in our growth phase.
Well, again, I really want to thank you both for joining me on this podcast and sharing a little bit about your experiences with Bankers Dashboard. I think it's very helpful for other institutions out there that are considering this. Again, it's an easy process. I can kind of go back to my experiences during the Great Recession when we were looking at actually trimming and cutting vendors. This was the one tool that I could not live without, would not live without. And again, it really proved to be the saving grace for our bank and allowed us to navigate through the Great Recession, and would love the opportunity to talk to others about that. So Selena, thank you very much for your time.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Barry. And I think one of the great things that we always are excited about is when we have an endorsed company like Bankers Dashboard that can help banks of all asset size. So Barry, can you provide some additional details on what does Bankers Dashboard fit? How do you fit into all those asset size community banks?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, we have over 300 clients currently using Bankers Dashboard. Those banks range anywhere from $100 million in assets all the way up to $20 billion in assets. So we cover a broad spectrum there. And banks of all sizes, they use it in different ways. All sizes can use it to visualize and analyze financial performance, again, all across their branch network, across their market network, giving access to multiple people at the branch leadership level, regional market leadership levels. And, some of them use it to automate their board reporting. Some of them really focus on using it to inform their team all across the organization. So again, it really covers a broad spectrum of asset sizes, really helping helping banks to make better informed decisions at every level of the organization.
Exactly. And I guess for Tim and Jason, with both of you having some different experiences with Bankers Dashboard, I think one of the questions that I thought of was specifically on who at the bank gets involved in Bankers Dashboard. Like Tim, I know you're very well versed on everything that Bankers Dashboard does. So do you have other staff that take advantage of the dashboard?
We rolled it out initially to our executive officers and our
Okay.
management staff. We've now rolled it down to the branch level. The branch managers have access to it. So
Yeah.
it's very useful to everybody in the bank.
Yeah,
Jason?
Selena, our executive team, our senior lender, and I are the two main users at this point. We have exposed our branch managers to it, and our regional retail officer as well is getting accustomed to it. Again, we're in the infancy of the rollout from our perspective. So we're the senior group is the ones that are primarily using it at this point, with plans to expand it out as Tim has done throughout our branch system.
Yeah, I would just think anybody in the bank, if they see what it can do for them, they'd want to have access to it. I would just think, but that's just great information.
Selena, one of the things that I say many times is, and we did this at our bank, we use it to inform and educate everyone from the boardroom to the teller line.
I could see why, definitely. And Barry, tell our audience how they can get in contact with you to learn more about Banker's Dashboard.
Absolutely be glad to. First of all, they can contact me directly via email. My email address is Barry, that's BARRY .adcock, ADCOCK @deluxe.com. They can also reach out to me by my phone. That number is 470-386-9679. Again, I'll say that again, just so everyone gets it. 470-386-9679. They can also go to the Deluxe website, www.deluxe.com. Click on products. Banker's Dashboard is right at the top of the list. Some key information there that they can learn more about the solution as well. But I really invite anyone and everyone to give me a call, and let's engage in a conversation about how Banker's Dashboard can help your institution improve financial performance during these really crazy economic times.
Excellent. Yes. And of course, all of the audience can go to kybanks.com for the KBA's website, where we have Banker's Dashboard listed in our endorsed product listing. And thank you, Barry, Tim, and Jason, for giving us this excellent information today. And audience, you need to start making plans to attend the KBA's annual convention. We'll kick off on September the 17th and wrap up on the 20th. And we're going to be at the JW Marriott Marco Island Beach Resort. You can go on our website now and make your room reservations. And then more convention registration details will be available real soon. But if you're hearing this message right now, that means you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, we extend a huge thank you, audience, for listening. And that's all for this episode. And until next time, this podcast is a wrap. And have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.